MAPPA vs WITT Studio. Which one is actually better when it comes to Attack on Titan? This is something people in the Attack on Titan community have been arguing about for a very long time now. And although a lot of comparison videos have already been made, nobody still really has an answer to which studio is actually better. So today, I'm gonna be putting an end to that question. I'm gonna be looking at the strengths and weaknesses of each studio. And by doing that, we are finally gonna find out which one is truly better. Also, this whole video is just my opinion. The art style for MAPPA and WITT is pretty different. While WITT has a very polished and HD look, MAPPA's style is a lot closer to the manga and feels a lot more hand-drawn. I personally prefer MAPPA's art style because of this reason. MAPPA's characters just tend to look better. Same thing goes for the 2D Titan designs, but I'm gonna get more into those later. Now, to give a very random example of something I prefer with MAPPA's character designs, hair. I know, that's a very random example, just hear me out. Although WITT and MAPPA are pretty much on the same level of quality when it comes to hair, there are some moments where MAPPA just looks better. For example, don't tell me you think this looks better than this. On WITT's version, it looks like she's wearing a fucking wig. And now that we're on these pictures anyway, look at this weird water crane. On WITT's version, it looks like a piece of plastic. But don't worry guys, I'm not a WITT hater nor a MAPPA fanboy, I like both of them. I'm really just nitpicking here. When it comes to backgrounds for example, WITT has some absolutely amazing art. At first I thought it was better than MAPPA, but MAPPA also has a couple scenes with amazing background art. So I'm kinda in the middle here. All of this being said, I just prefer MAPPA's art style, especially the character designs. So this round goes to MAPPA. Although I just mentioned I prefer MAPPA's art style, they definitely miss something compared to WITT. And no, I'm not talking about the CGI Titans, at least not yet. I'm talking about the contrast and the color grading. Now, if you don't know what contrast is, it's basically the difference between the darkest point and the brightest point in an image. This made the drawings look a lot more vibrant and gave them a lot more depth. This is especially noticeable in close-up shots. MAPPA on the other hand really seems to struggle with this. A lot of the time their scenes can feel very flat compared to WITT's. As an example of this, there is this channel called The Color Owl that shows how MAPPA scenes would look like with more contrast. Here are some examples. As you guys can see, it looks a lot better. So many scenes from MAPPA could benefit from this treatment. Of course, it isn't perfect, but you gotta take in mind this was done by one person. If one person could make it look like this, really makes you wonder why an entire studio couldn't just focus a little bit more on this. How hard can it be? Of course, this isn't the end of the world. It's not like I'm watching Attack on Titan and being like, ugh, there is no contrast. Everything looks shit now. But you can't deny that it could have looked a lot better. So this round goes to WITT. Alright ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived on the elephant in the room. The CGI Titans. Now, when it comes to the CGI Titans, I gotta be honest and say 2D Titans are better and the CGI looks kinda derpy at times. Now, before you guys go murder me in the comments, let me explain. The CGI is by no means bad, but like it isn't really great either. It's somewhere in the middle. Like sometimes it can look really wanky. But other times it can look pretty good. Granted, most of these pretty good moments are primarily in the second part of the season, since they improved the CGI a lot since the first. But for this video, I have to take everything in general, so it's kinda hard to say if it's bad or good, because the bad moments can look pretty bad, but the good moments are definitely really solid. So the best way I can put my opinion on all this is saying it's a 6 out of 10 with a good enough monkey sticker. All of this being said, 2D Titan fights are obviously more impressive and more exciting to look at than CGI ones. And it's sad that MAPPA almost doesn't use them. I say almost because MAPPA does have a couple 2D Titan scenes, and they are really good. The Beast Titan's face looks scary as fuck. The Founding Titan transformation was epic. Plus we can't forget that all of their pure Titans are hand-drawn. Sadly though, they are heavily outperformed by WITT Studio. Yes, MAPPA's 2D Titan scenes are really good, but only like 20% of all their Titan scenes are hand-drawn. While WITT on the other hand, pretty much only has 2D Titan scenes. And their 2D Titan scenes were really good, especially in Season 1 and 2. Past that point, the quality did diminish, but that's because WITT Studio had to deal with heavier and harder deadlines. And sadly, MAPPA has to deal with even harder deadlines, hence they use CGI so much. Maybe in another universe, MAPPA did get enough time, and I would be talking about how MAPPA is better than WITT. But in this universe, WITT Studio did use 2D Titans a lot more, so this round goes to WITT. Of course, we can't forget about the ODM gear scenes. And the ones from WITT Studio were great. The animation was stellar, and it perfectly blended in with the CGI background. You could really feel the speed and momentum the characters were having. And man, the scenes were so smooth! If you put some of these scenes in slow motion, you would realize how many frames they have, man. But how does MAPPA compare to this? Well, in the first part of the season, there isn't really a lot to compare, since most ODM gear scenes look like this. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they use CGI for quite a lot of the ODM gear scenes too. And well, the CGI looks not as good as WITT. They do have 2D moments though, and they are pretty good. Like this scene with the silhouettes was pretty dope. And we got some action with Levi versus the Beast Titan. But none of these short but good scenes are really comparable to WITT's full-on action sequences. So if we truly want to compare them, we gotta go to part 2. This because in part 2, there's an abundance of ODM gear scenes. And they are pretty damn good. It really feels like they were trying to honor WITT Studio's style. And well, it worked for me, especially in episode 6. I got some really nice season 1 nostalgia, even though I rewatched the whole show a couple months ago. Yet, I still think WITT Studio had better ODM gear scenes. WITT Studio just feels smoother compared to MAPPA. The movements felt more fluid and less choppy. Now, this might come over as a nitpick, but there were 1 or 2 ODM gear scenes from MAPPA where I just didn't fully understand what was going on, and I think that's because these scenes had the biggest frame drops out of all of them. But to be fair, my enjoyment of these scenes increased a lot after a couple rewatches when I started understanding what was going on better, and now I think they're really cool scenes. But my first impression did go like this, and I never really had that with WITT Studio, so I'm just gonna count that in. Plus you also gotta take in mind that WITT Studio never really used CGI for the ODM gear scenes, while MAPPA clearly did. Now if I had to summarize what I think of MAPPA's 2D ODM gear scenes compared to WITT's, I would say MAPPA's ODM gear scenes are as good as WITT's worst ODM gear scenes. WITT Studio scenes just seem to have more frames and looked more fluid. But because even the worst ODM gear scenes from WITT Studio were really good, MAPPA holds up pretty damn well. And then now, the final verdict. Looking at all the rounds we've got till now, the winner is WITT Studio. Although MAPPA did their best, seems like you can't beat the original. Maybe, if they would have gotten enough time, things could have played out differently, but sadly, they didn't. So, that's about it. My work is done. I hope you enjoyed the video. and I'll see you in the next one.